Hello, everyone, and welcome to Empowering Tomorrow's Transportation Leaders, a spotlight on dynamic workforce training resources webinar. This webinar is jointly hosted by the IT TSMO Council and NOCoE. My name is Anaf Morshed, and I'll help facilitate today's webinar. As a quick reminder, at National Operations Center of Excellence, we offer a variety of resources to support the transportation systems management and operations community. You can go to NOCoE's website to browse through links for TSMO resources and news. Previous webinar recordings and case studies can be accessed from there. Now I'll cover a few logistics for today's webinar. We're recording this webinar. The recording will be available on NOCoE's website. All the attendees are encouraged to stay engaged by using the Q&A feature for questions and chat feature for comments. These are both on the bottom of your screen. For today's agenda, we have 4 speakers. After the introduction, and there's a small poll question, and after that we have a quick guide to NOCoE's valuable resources presented to you by Adam Hobbs, followed by leveraging federal highway resources for TSMO professionals presented to you by Joe Gregory, and then we have NHI's role in TSMO education and training presented to you by Stacey Caston, and finally we have PCB program insights from JD Schneeberger. At this point, I will quickly share a couple of poll questions with you. Please go ahead and answer the poll questions. There are 2 poll questions. The first one is, what organization are you affiliated with? And then if you after you finish answering that, you can scroll down to the second questions, and how many years of experience do you have in TSMO? So I would encourage our participants to participate in the poll question and answer session. I'll give it a minute for you to answer these questions. But I think I'll give a couple more seconds. And we have another question. If you scroll down, are you familiar with federal highways training programs? I can see a lot of people have participated already. All right. So let me share the results. So we can see there's a greater percentage of students and academics participating in today's webinar, 22% from public agency and 9% from federal government as well. We have mostly people with 0 to 2 years of experience in TSMO. That's great. So this is the right webinar for you, but it has information for everyone. And we see that 29% is familiar with federal highways training program, whereas 71% not. Perfect. All right. So let me introduce our speakers for today. We have Adam Hobbs, who leads technical services and communications activities for the National Operations Center of Excellence, or NOCoE, which focuses on providing resources and sharing knowledge to advance the practice of transportation systems management and operations. Then we have Joe Gregory, who is the Federal Highway Program Manager for Organizing for TSMO, which equips state and local agencies in developing their organizational capabilities to advance TSMO programs and strategies. Then we have Stacey Caston, who is the director of the Federal Highway Administration National Highway Institute. As director, she is responsible for critical training initiatives that impact federal highways' ability to provide education and training programs to the national surface transportation workforce. And then we have JD Schneeberger, who serves as the program manager for the Intelligent Transportation Systems Joint Programs Office's Professional Capacity Building Program. The program provides technical assistance to the ITS community and assists transportation professionals, educators, and students in developing their knowledge, skills, and abilities to build technical proficiency while furthering their career paths. So at this point, I will hand it over to Adam. Adam, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Anaf, and so glad to see who's joined the webinar. We love the fact that your familiarity might be less with TSMO or with the resources that we're going to present on. So like Anaf said, you're in the right spot. I'm going to briefly walk through some of what NOCoE does, mostly focused on our website, which you can see up there on the screen. I want to say first, though, that's something that we do because I only want to take 5 minutes so that we hear a lot from the really in-depth resources that are going to be shared. But something we do at NOCoE is if you have questions around TSMO in general, a specific topic, how to use our website, please reach out to me. I'll put the email in the chat box. And happy to spend a half an hour with you or your colleagues or classmates or anybody to kind of walk through anything that you need. We provide that sort of, on-demand concierge kind of service. So please, if you have more questions after my brief presentation, please do reach out. We would love to do that. So what you're looking at is the NOCoE website. We've on orange for this week's Work Zone Awareness Week, and encourage you to learn more about that if you haven't already. I'm going to walk. We like to call ourselves the one-stop shop for TSMO. So the resources that you're going to hear about in depth from JD and Joe and Stacey are all going to. Many of them are on the website, and we. Our goal of the website is to steer you towards those resources. So some of the resources on here are things that we've developed, like webinars, case studies, but mostly of the 2,500 or so things, they come from the knowledge creators that you're about to hear from. We house all of our resources in the Knowledge Center, which is a searchable database that basically will allow you to go through a variety of different searches on different topics. We narrow them down in here, or you can just do a keyword search. But there's 2,500 resources in here. It's newly mapped to the Transportation Operations Manual. The Transportation Operations Manual is something that AASHTO and key stakeholders in TSMO have developed over the last 3 to 4 years. It's been published for about a year now. Copies are accessible via the AASHTO Publications Library. We'll put a link in there. But with this manual comes a sort of standardized taxonomy of all that is TSMO, whether it's institutional, organizational process, or tactical elements. So our website is now organized to meet that. So you can search under these various different areas as you do that. We also publish quite a few case studies that we encourage everybody to take a look at. We have 150 to 170 now. That talk really in depth about what TSMO is, TSMO applications, and they range from things like you can see here, adaptive signal control in a specific city, to Alabama's workforce development program, and how they're bringing students inside of TMCs and creating pipelines and trainings for students at a TMC that's actually on the campus itself. So encourage you to take a look through these as well. And then lastly, we do quite a bit of webinars as you're on. We have 300, 400 webinar videos that are all available on the website. And then they're also available in our YouTube library here. Encourage you to go through those as well. It's well worth taking a look at many of the previous webinars and webinar topics. So with that, Anaf, I'll turn it back to you. And again, I encourage you to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give a more in-depth view or talk with you about any specific topics and resources that go along with them. Thanks, Anaf.
Thank you, Adam. I will hand it over to Joe now. Joe, the floor is yours.
Awesome, great. Yeah, thanks so much. And it's very encouraging just to see just the spread of folks that are on here today, especially a lot of them that are in the student realm and only have a couple years in the TSMO field. So they're getting ready to embark on a great career within TSMO. And what I wanted to go over to you, I don't have any presentation slides, but I have a bunch of web links just to go over a lot of free resources that FHWA has have, and we continue to populate on various facets of TSMO strategies, just to help get you up to speed, and then you can look at it at your own time. So what I'm going to do before I share my screen is I'm going to put a bunch of hyperlinks in the chat box, just so you can save them on your browser. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Something's not quite right, so I'll do that in a little bit, but just 1 second. Well, I can start off with that, but a lot of things that we work with at FHWA, we kind of do it with other national counterparts and also at the state level, sometimes at local level, but a lot of times we don't get a chance to reach out to folks in the university level or even at various local levels as well. So this is a great opportunity just to share our resources. So I'm going to share my screen and just show you, just go through real quick. There we go. What are some resources may be available to you? So one is how TSMO has been communicated. You have various examples from state and local agencies, but we also have a very basic what is TSMO webpage and an FAQ website to help get you started. Just a TSMO 101 or TSMO primer setup to help get you on your way. And what we find is that, when you communicate TSMO, especially to non-TSMO personnel, it is essential to talk in their language and just make sure that it resonates with them so they understand how what they do plays into the big picture. Another website is mainstreaming TSMO. And basically when I say mainstreaming TSMO, it's really just integrating TSMO to your agency to the point where if you have a lot of personnel changes, like your TSMO champion leaves or some not right on the screen. Yeah, your TSMO champion leaves or your senior leadership leaves, you don't lose the momentum in advancing in your TSMO program. And when you start talking about that mainstream TSMO on institutional level, we've developed some tools like a capability maturity model assessment that folks can take just to see where they're at on various dimension levels. So we do that from an overall standpoint, but we also do that for various TSMO strategies. So we have assessments on road weather management, incident management, signals, work zone, active demand management. So there's various opportunities to really assess where you're at. The other element is when we talk about communicating TSMO, like I mentioned earlier, it's really TSMO by definition is interdisciplinary. So it's essential that you have multiple disciplines engaged. So, and that's one of the beauties of TSMO is that you don't necessarily have to have a traffic engineering background to really be a TSMO champion. If your background is in planning and safety and maintenance, or that can also be an opportunity to really champion TSMO in your agency. And TSMO really gets into even the more, for lack of a better term, non-traditional specialties like IT, law enforcement, first responder units. Data science is emerging as a needed skill set within the TSMO realm. So there's opportunities if that's where your background is at. So this website right here is just material that a TSMO champion can communicate to other disciplines. We have human resources, planning, design, asset management. We have one for equity, freight, IT. So we're continuing to populate these pages of different materials that communicate to different disciplines. But right now, what I want to do is just hone in on a couple of areas real quick. So just a second here. So one area is in planning. Let's get this. Just 1 second, please. Okay, one area is integrating TSMO into planning. So we've been doing this for the past 20 years or so, where we recognize that in order for operations in general, and especially TSMO, to be successful, it has to start within the planning process. So there's lots of key resources here that really gets into that. Another area I really want to hone in on is safety. So with TSMO, TSMO by definition improves the safety of the system. So when we're talking about TSMO, you're talking about optimizing the system performance of the existing system. So safety has to be included in that. So we have materials that shows how safety and TSMO can coordinate for effective overall solutions. Our safety office really gets into this as well. Our safety office has been a very good partner in terms of trying to bridge any gaps that we might see here. But also you have proven safety countermeasures that come out there that can really hone into your overall TSMO activity. So let's see what else. Complete streets Some of y'all are going to be working on complete streets, which is great, but there's opportunities to collaborate with your with TSMO in that area to meet your objectives. The other thing I really want to highlight here is we have our own YouTube page that has various videos of from all of our offices and disciplines that promote it, and operations is one of them. But there's we have videos on travel time reliability. You know, why is travel time reliability important, and what role does TSMO play into it? We have ICM, just introduction in terms of what ICM is, integrated corridor management, active traffic transportation demand management, ATDM. So we get a chance, just play around these websites, and just there are a lot of good resources here that can really help you build that foundation. We actually have a website on training as well. I know Stacey's going to get into NHI training opportunities as well, but we have some training material on our website that are like recorded webinars that you can peruse, you know, whenever you need to. So we have one on applying archive operations data for planning, advancing TSMO and corridor and sub areas, and then advancing TSMO with scenario planning. So, so that's available as well. And then finally, because I know I only have a few minutes, we do have a website and some documents that we update maybe a couple times a year to just share with you some of the latest resources within the past year that we've been able to post online and complete. So you have that there, and then finally, just current activities that we're hoping to wrap up in the next year or so as well. So we update both those documents a couple times a year, but when throughout this webinar, I'll put the links in the chat box, but I'll also this should be in the notes in the recording when it goes on YouTube as well. So with that, let me stop sharing my screen. Oh, okay, I see the links are in the chat box. That's great, thanks. So like I said, very high level overview. I kind of felt like I kind of turned a fire hose on you, but I just really wanted to scratch the surface as to what resources are available to you. They're free, obviously. So when you really start to build your TSMO capabilities, this will help you get you on your way. Again, but if you have any questions, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. And again, these links should be will be available too. So just copy them from the chat box, bookmark them, so you can save them for later. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop talking, and then I can send that over to Stacey. Or not, after I send it back to you.
That's for thank you, Joe. Yes, at this point we will hand it over to Stacey.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Okay, so let me share my screen. One second. Okay, you should see my slides now. So, good afternoon, good people. I am Stacey Caston. I'm the NHI director. And for those who aren't familiar with the National Highways.
Sorry, Stacey, we cannot see your slides.
You cannot?
No.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, we can see it now.
How's that?
Yeah, we can see it. Thank you, Stacey.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for letting me know. So the National Highway Institute is the kind of outward-facing training arm for the Federal Highway Administration. And so although today I will be talking about training that's tied to the Office of Operations and kind of the operations program area, NHI develops and delivers trainings across like 18 different program areas. And so before I became director, I was actually a training program manager at NHI. And so over many years, I've worked very closely with my colleagues in the Office of Operations, like Joe, and ITSJPO, like JB, to develop and deliver training. And so During my segment of this webinar, I'll provide a list of the TSMO training that's currently available or soon to be available via NHI, and I'll share some information about how to access the training. So before discussing the courses, I want to provide some just basic background and general information related to the TSMO training that is in NHI's catalog. A couple years ago, I worked with Operations Office of Transportation Management, or HOTM, to complete a portfolio analysis. Now, the purpose of this effort was to inventory and assess the office's workshops and training, and to develop an overall training framework and strategic approach associated with like the development and delivery of resources. And as a result of this portfolio analysis, some gaps in resources on various topics were identified. And the TSMO courses that NHI is housing, or that is in the catalog, have been developed or are being developed really to help fill some of those gaps. Another thing to note is that the ops team has been very intentional in providing resources and training for people at various levels of expertise. And so at present, the TSMO training in NHI's catalog are for people at the beginning and the intermediate levels of expertise. And as is the case really for all NHI training, we work very closely with subject matter experts during the course development process to ensure that the course content is accurate and that it's relevant. And then one final note, and this is important, all of the self-directed web-based training at NHI is free. And it has been for a couple years and probably will be for the foreseeable future. Okay, so next I'll share details about two lists of courses. The first list contains the courses which are currently available, and the second list contains the courses which will be available soon. So here are the courses that are currently available. The first 3 courses listed here are part of a series designed for transportation planners and operations staff with TSMO expertise who want to really deepen their knowledge and learn strategies for integrating TSMO within their agencies like transportation planning and programming processes. The first course includes an overview of the planning process and the need for and methods of collaboration, and it's a basic level course. The second course includes an in-depth examination of the steps to integrate TSMO into the planning process. And while it's recommended that you take the first class, the introductory level course, before taking the second class, learners with basic planning TSMO knowledge are not required to take that introductory course. However, the second course, that Planning for TSMO Concepts and Applications course, is required before taking the third course in the series. And that third course is Planning for TSMO, Putting Concepts into Action. Now, this course is a highly interactive virtual instructor-led training. It was designed to provide an opportunity for learners to apply the concepts they learned to real-world scenarios. So it is very interactive and kind of hands-on, as hands-on as you can get from a virtual perspective. And there's one more course which is currently available in NHI's catalog, and it's the last course listed here. Making the business case for institutional, organizational, and procedural changes for TSMO. This is also web-based training and is available to all. So there are several additional TSMO courses which will be available by the end of the year, and they are all self-paced web-based training and will all be free to enroll in and to take. TSMO 101 is an introductory level course for people with beginning or basic level TSMO knowledge. It will provide a foundational understanding of what TSMO is and how it works. The second course listed here is Understanding and Applying the Capability Maturity Model to Advanced TSMO Programs. And I think, Joe had kind of referenced that there are a number of CMM references or resources that are also available via the websites that he shared via links. But this training will provide TSMO champions with enough knowledge about the CMM to be able to understand how it could support TSMO programs and how to conduct a self-assessment of their own organization and their partner organizations' capabilities to deliver TSMO. Now, both of these courses should be available this summer. The last course listed here, Operations Benefit Cost Analysis, will walk learners through TSMO like benefit cost analysis concepts and practice. It will be available in early fall. Now, as these courses become available, the National Highway Institute will certainly promote and share additional details about the training across various platforms. So stay tuned for more information there. Okay, so I just shared information about 7 TSMO trainings which are available now or will be available soon. And you may be wondering, okay, so how can I access them? The answer is Blackboard. So NHI is in the process of implementing a new Blackboard-based learning management system, or LMS. This transition will impact just about every way internal and external stakeholders engage with NHI. Now, in the past, NHI used several different systems kind of pieced together to serve as a learning management system, and it worked fine for many, many years, but we've outgrown it. And so moving to Blackboard really gives NHI a system that is better suited for today's learner. The new system will provide, interactive, user-friendly platform that's offering easy access to course information and transcripts, a simple way to register for courses and to do things like request password resets. It's just a very user-friendly and much better platform than what we have been using for many, many years. The system will contain a registration system, and will be where you go to register for your training. It will contain NHI's course catalog. So when you are interested in viewing the catalog or searching for available training, you'll be doing that in Blackboard. And you'll find and register for training. After you find and register for training, you will also launch the training in Blackboard. So it will serve as the actual learning environment. And for those of you who are either teaching or participating in one of the National Highway Institute's like virtual instructor-led training, like the TSMO course I mentioned earlier, you'll be engaged in that training in the Blackboard Collaborate environment, which is the system's like live video platform. Blackboard Collaborate will ultimately replace Adobe Connect, which is the system we've been using for years, as the platform used to for web conference training and for virtual instructor-led training. And then in addition to NHI's current customer service phone numbers and email addresses, users will have access to a help desk within the Blackboard system. There will be a phone number to call, an email address to send questions, and I believe even a live chat feature is going to be available within this new learning management system. Okay, so how do you get started? At present, we are still in the process of transitioning all of NHI's training from the old learning management system to the new system. So as a result, some courses are still accessible in the old system, but all training will be moved to Blackboard this summer. And so here's the thing, TSMO courses have already been moved to Blackboard. And so in order to access those courses, the ones that I mentioned, the 4 that are currently available, you will need to create a Blackboard account. And so for non-Federal Highways users, you'll need to do 2 things to access Blackboard. The first is get a login.gov account. And the second is use the same email address to create a Blackboard account. Now there are a number of other steps to get from start to finish in terms of creating a Blackboard account. And so I'll add a link in the chat for the step-by-step instructions for this process. And honestly, I encourage everyone to set up their Blackboard account today. Okay, that concludes my piece of this webinar. Are there any questions? I can stop sharing my screen.
Hey, Stacey, thank you for your presentation. So we will take questions at the end of all presentations.
Okay.
Yeah. At this point, we will hand it to John. John, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And just give me a second as I share my screen. Hopefully that worked for everybody. You can see my screen.
Yeah.
And Joe and Stacey, thanks for the great presentation. Stacey, the Blackboard tool looks amazing. We're really excited for that coming forward. And as I talk through some of my presentation, really seeing our ITS trainings in the Blackboard tool moving forward. Looks like an amazing resource that is going to help the community in workforce development and training. Just wanted to introduce myself. So my name is JD Schneeberger. I work with the ITS Joint Program Office. I lead our professional capacity building program. And our professional capacity building program is really the workforce development technical assistance component of the ITS Joint Program Office. We really work as a mechanism for educating the transportation workforce, both academia students and the existing transportation professionals that are out there, with the real purpose of advocating intelligent transportation systems and helping to advance the deployments of those technologies. Actually organized my presentation to highlight a few of the higher priority items that we've been working on within the ITS Joint Program Office. We have a lot of different resources that are out there. At the end of today's presentation, I'll provide a link to our ITS PCB website and our Smart Community Resource Center. But today's presentation, I wanted to highlight a few different areas. One being ITS basics, information of where you can find information if you're new to ITS. Some resources that we've been developing in ITS and safety. A new and emerging area that we are definitely behind and trying to advocate the deployment of something called vehicle to everything communication, or V2X. System engineering resources. And then I'll talk about our Smart Community Resource Center and some of the academic resources that we've been developing along with academia. So let me just start with some of our ITS basics materials. We certainly understand that there always are new folks coming into the ITS industry who want to just learn about the basics. So we have a few different resources that we've developed. One of them is in collaboration with NHI and Stacey's team that we've called the ITS What, Why, and How, which is a training that explains how ITS technologies have been used to address transportation challenges that we face every day within the transportation system, safety, mobility challenges. It's a free web-based training. It was recently updated in February 2023, and you can see the link in the URL. We've included a QR code if you want to access that training. We also have a resource that the ITS Professional Capacity Building Program has developed. It's called the ITS e-Primer, which is an online resource that we really developed targeting professionals and students who are just new to ITS again. It includes 16 web-based modules, everything from an introduction to ITS, information about things like system engineering, ITS and data management, public transportation, where ITS fits into that, along with a variety of different topics. That tool is available online on our ITS PCB website. And again, I'll provide that link to that website at the end of today's presentation, but it's also embedded into slides here, and you can kind of access it through the QR code if that's easier for you. Some other resources that we are really behind and have recently been developing relate to safety. So the US DOT's National Roadway Safety Strategy is really committed to reducing transportation-related deaths and injuries. You can see from this slide, this infographic tells a great story, or maybe not so great if you really think about the casualties involved. But pretty much every day in our country, we have 118 people die on our roadways. You can look some of the stats on this graphic to the right. In 2021, that equated to almost 43,000 people, which if we can imagine a baseball stadium full at its capacity, that's that many fatalities on an annual basis. There's a lot of variety of different stats that you can see on this slide related to fatalities at things like intersections. We've continued seeing rise in pedestrian and cyclist fatalities, and higher fatality rates in areas like rural areas. So we firmly believe that ITS has a role in addressing some of these transportation challenges related to safety. And we've developed a lot of resources to kind of help and advocate and explain ITS's role in what we call the safe system approach. which is really a holistic and comprehensive approach to how we can hopefully get to achieving a vision zero of zero fatalities in our transportation system. This is a graphic that we've developed, and I'll talk a little bit more in a couple of slides of how we're using it. It just shows where ITS fits into that safe system approach that's being encouraged and promoted through the USDOT and our Office of Safety. It talks about how ITS has incorporated things like safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer roads, post-crash care, and safer people in general. Now, there's a couple of resources that we developed, again, with NHI, a course on improving highway safety with ITS. And again, it's a web-based course that really introduces this concept. It builds off the safe system approach. It talks about how ITS can help address these challenges in safety. We're also working with our partners at ITS America, an ITS association, to set up a variety of different mechanisms to kind of get the word out and try to encourage adoption, deployment of ITS strategies. In the fall, we're hoping to actually launch some ITS and safety peer exchanges. Those are events that we hope to have with leaders who have deployed these technologies or are looking to deploy these technologies to advocate for additional deployments where we can see safety benefits from intelligent transportation systems. So if you work for a state or local DOT, stay tuned. We hope to talk more about that in the next coming months. We've also developed some tools just trying to educate the profession. We've learned that there's a lot of folks in the safety audience who are very well you know, Joe, you mentioned some of the proven safety countermeasures a little bit earlier in your presentation. We also understand that there's a lot of people who are very familiar with things like intelligent transportation systems. We're trying to bridge the gap, and we've developed some short micro-learning videos that really talk about the safe system approach and talk about where ITS fits into the various different elements or components of that. These are about short 4 to 7 minute videos that we produce that show some examples of ITS solutions in each one of these areas. You can see our star of the videos, Hugo, here on top of the ITS and safety approach sign. They're fun videos. We hope that they're educational and helping people raise awareness. And we'll then point people to additional resources out there to learn more around these particular topics. These videos are in development. I believe the first one has been published. It's on our Smart Community Resource Center that I'll point to a little bit later. The rest of them are in development, and we're hoping to roll these out over the summer. So stay tuned and kind of follow this adventure along with Hugo. Another area, and just kind of building on the safety component of this all, an area that we are USDOT certainly excited about is an emerging area called vehicle to everything communications. For those of you who aren't familiar with V2X, it really is technology that leverages wireless communication to enable vehicles to communicate with infrastructure, communicate with other vehicles, and to communicate with pedestrians, cyclists, and pretty much everything. Hence the acronym V2X. V2X is very promising opportunity not only to enhance and address safety challenges, but also provide mobility and environmental benefits. And we see a lot of great promise in V2X. As part of that, we are and have recently developed a lot of foundational training materials related to this topic. One of those is a foundational V2X course that we are delivering. It's an in-person training that we are launching that talks about the business case or the case for why we should do V2X. Goes over some of the basics, the various components that make up the V2X ecosystem, and talks about some of our technical assistance and resources. It's really targeted participants that are new to the space, want to learn more about V2X, or folks who are just interested in refreshing their V2X knowledge. We are delivering our pilot of this course at the ITS America annual meeting, which is next week. Our course will be on Thursday, April 25th from 1 to 5 p.m. It's a 4-hour course. I'll be teaching it along with some of my colleagues who are subject matter experts in this area. And then we're working with ITS America and some of the state chapters to begin delivering this course across the country. We've got a lot of interest. I think the queue, the backlogs, 10 plus agencies and associations who are very interested in this course. We're excited for that moving forward. We also realize and are developing a portfolio moving beyond just kind of the basics of V2X. Certainly there's a need to educate people at that level, but we're also seeing people who are advancing deployment of some of these technologies. And we are beginning to develop a track and beginning to think about what the next training should be. You can see this is an initial list of some of the topics that we're considering. Everything from being able to develop some training materials that may help people who are more into the planning and system engineering of these technologies, to some really in-depth technical trainings that get down to the details of how do you actually deploy this technology, how do you create some of the messages that will be disseminated through these technologies, details about the wireless communication and the operations and maintenance of these technologies that are out there. So again, stay tuned. It's an area we certainly are ramping up in, and we hear there's a lot of need from this from our ITS community. We have also developed some tools that have been helping academia and infrastructure owner operators across the country. These have been tools that we've developed collaboratively with our counterparts over at Turner Fairbank Highway Research Center. One of them is a cave-in-the-box unit. So folks in the VDX space are very interested in getting their hands on this equipment. What we have developed is a tool that you can see on the top left picture is actually a traffic signal controller connected to a roadside unit, which broadcasts wireless messages that enables V2X. And this is a unit that we actually make available. We can ship across the country, or entities can actually build their own cave-in-the-box units. We've seen this tool used by academia. A lot of universities have brought this into their classroom to get hands-on experience for their students to touch V2X. And we've seen it also used by state and local DOTs who are just interested in learning about V2X. On the bottom, another tool that we were collaborating with our counterparts at Turner Fairbank Highway Research Center is a 1/10 scale automated vehicle. We call it CDA 1/10. That has software on it that enables vehicle automation and connectivity. It's a tool that we're currently collaborating with, developing, and we're hoping to get out the door in the near term that would enable students, primarily undergraduate, graduate students, to get their hands on 1/10 scale vehicles, learn about V2X, connected vehicle, automated vehicle technologies, and prepare them for the transportation workforce moving forward. Some other tools that we've developed, I just wanted to shift gears a little bit. We certainly see great value in promoting system engineering. So that's something that we believe helps minimize risk and enables a successful deployment of intelligent transportation systems. There's a variety of in-person trainings that we've deliver. We have a 4-hour course that we've delivered recently at ITS Texas, ITS Midwest, ITS Georgia, and ITS Tennessee. And certainly looking to continue kind of to deliver those moving forward. We also have some NHI web-based trainings, one that is currently available, System Engineering Fundamentals for ITS, and a new course that we're currently collaborating with NHI on, System Engineering for ITS, that it will update that will be coming soon. Finally, I'll point to, and again, you can access these on the slides afterwards. FHWA recently developed a System Engineering for ITS website that you can see a screenshot on the right. It's a great resource that talks through the variety of the different tools for system engineering, provides examples of good system engineering documents, talks about the benefits of system engineering, and a whole variety of other resources that are out there. So I certainly encourage you, if you're looking to get into the ITS TSMO space, system engineering is a huge underlying enabling area of that. This is a great resource to get more information on. Likewise, with the ITS and safety microlearning videos, we've also created some system engineering microlearning videos. So if you just want to get a flavor of system engineering, maybe use this to educate some of your colleagues who are new to the concept and want to dive into it a little bit more. We've created these microlearning videos. Again, you see our main character, Hugo, here on the left, that just talks about what is system engineering and gives some great examples and includes some interviews from some of our subject matter experts that you see on the right here. Shifting gears again, I wanted to make note of a new resource that we actually are developing in the ITS Joint Program Office. It's called our Smart Community Resource Center. It's an online resource that we are developing really to support information sharing and technical assistance with our hope of advancing ITS deployments that really solve real-world challenges that communities face across the country. This was actually called out in the bipartisan infrastructure law for something that we in the ITS JPO should establish and set up, and we're continuing to enhance and develop this resource moving forward. You can find the URL on the bottom left of this screen, but I wanted to point out kind of where we are planning to move forward with the SCRC. We really want this to be a user-friendly, one-stop shop for finding a variety of different resources out there and the subject of ITS and smart communities. And one of the things we've recognized is there's a lot of great resources that are out there. Many of these resources reside, though, on a variety of different websites. So our real goal is to try to compile some of this information, make it easier for people and users to find the relevant information. What we've been talking about, and we're in the process of implementing, is trying to reorganize this website in 3 areas, goal areas. So maybe there's a goal you're looking to solve transportation problems in. Maybe there's a technology area, something like V2X or vehicle automation. Can we compile all those resources together and make it easier to find information on those topics? And then we have kind of a third area, cross-cutting and enabling topics, things like system engineering, ITS architecture, where we're hoping to really compile some resources, not repeat resources, but be able to serve as a hub to point people to a variety of different resources, some of which you've been hearing about today. Some of the examples of what we've done, we've set up a safety page that you can see here. It's just a snapshot, a screenshot of some of the resources. We're actually able to click on the safe system approach and find example resources, maybe some example ITS applications, benefits that have been achieved through some of these technologies. And this is where we actually house our ITS and safety microlearning videos. Likewise, we've developed a page for V2X recently that includes well over 100 documents related to advancing the deployment of vehicle-to-everything technologies. It includes everything from our national V2X deployment plan to some benefit cost database, example system engineering documents from some of the leading deployers that are out there. This is a super valuable resource that we're looking to continue to enhance, and a great place if you just want to learn a little bit more about vehicle-to-everything technologies. Last but not least, I want to shift gears a little bit to some of our ITS and academic resources. It's great to see the large number of students on today's call. We have been trying to reach and reimagine what we've been doing in ITS PCB program with academia. And we've started that by actually launching what we called an academic cohort with over 30 plus academic institutions. We started that in September 2023. Where we are meeting with a variety of SMEs and academia to really understand, what would be most helpful for us to develop, understand their teaching practices. Are there certain tools that we could develop with them that would help them educate ITS in the classroom? We've had a variety of meetings. We've learned a lot from some of these professors that are out there and are really looking to revamp our program moving forward. Part of that is developing what we're calling ITS academic modules. We do have currently 5 academic modules that are available upon request. But as we've been talking to a lot of the professors and folks in academia, we're really looking to up our game in this area. Talking about developing more hands-on trainings, modular-based trainings, leveraging real-world data sets with active exercises for students, and really trying to focus on the right topics moving forward. We've seen a lot of interest in the basics of ITS, system engineering, and some of the new and emerging topics like data management and vehicle-to-everything communications. So stay on the lookout. We're really trying to revamp where we're going with academic resources, and we're excited about that. Last but not least, I want to just give a plug to our Transportation Technology Tournament. That's an initiative we host in collaboration with NOCoE and ITE. It's an annual student competition where we actually work with state and local agencies to bring real-world transportation problems to the forefront, and we give students these transportation problems, and they work with us, they work with state and local agencies to eventually develop ITS solutions in the form of high-level concept of operations. They submit a short document to us, they take a few training modules, and then there's a judging process where top 3 teams are actually sent to the ITE annual meeting, all expenses paid for by the USDOT, NOCoE, and ITE. This year's annual meeting's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we currently have, I think this is the highest number, 14 teams, well over 80 students participating. You can see the universities. Many of these are new. participants this year. We're really looking to kind of continue to expand this activity. Nothing but great experiences from the students, great resume builder. We've certainly tried to put folks in contact with a variety of industry experts and partners out there. So if interested in the student, you know, and you're not participating this year, feel free to reach out. We'd love to get you and your university engaged moving forward. Again, I know I threw a lot at you. Make sure you get these slides moving forward, but I will point out many of these resources, either the links are embedded into the PowerPoint presentation, or you can access these through these two web links on the bottom of the slide. The left, the ITS PCB website, and to the right, that Smart Community Resource Center that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Anaf and see if anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much, JD. Great presentation. And we have a couple of questions. So before we move into the questions, I would like to ask a poll question, like launch a poll question for everyone. Please, if you see it on your screen, go ahead and answer the questions. What specific training topic with TSMO catches your interest? And once we are done with the poll question, we will take some questions. We have some questions already, great questions. And I'll ask the question to the panel. But for the attendees, please go ahead and answer the poll question. Is what specific training topic or topics within transportation system management operations catches your interest? I'll give a few seconds for you to answer. All right, so let's move into the question Q&A session. So we have a question in the Q&A pod. WBT stands for web-based training. What does WCT stands for? I think this was from Stacey's presentation.
Yeah, sorry. So WCT stands for Web Conference Training or Virtual Instructor-Led Training.
And we have a comment from Tracy as well. Like the courses Stacey mentioned are all broad-based TSMO trainings. There are also NHI trainings available that are focused on particular TSMO areas like signals or work zones. It could be good to acknowledge that since they are also TSMO courses. So that's just a comment from Tracy. And then there's another question. Is there a way for someone to share or share a need or suggest a new training resources? We asked a question, but if you have something in mind, please feel free to reach out to me or Adam or any of our panelists. You have their contact information. Thank you for that question. And then we have one question asking, if an entry-level professional is looking for a job in TSMO, what kind of job postings should they be looking for? So this is a question for all of you.
I mean, I can start. If you're looking for an entry-level TSMO job, I mean, like I said, TSMO is so interdisciplinary, so good opportunity just to, you know, kind of get your feet wet is, you know, if there's a particular TSMO strategy that, you know, you're really into, whether it be like signals, for example, or bus rapid transit, ICM, if there's an opportunity to do that, then I would say use that to start off with, and then kind of build from there. So, because a lot of the TSMO champions that are in the positions that they're in now, like TSMO program managers, they've been at their job for a while, so they kind of build up that skill set, whether it be, you know, maybe they've come up through ITS or the TMC Traffic Management Center, just as a way to get their foot in the door. Also, you know, it depends on your skill set. Like, you know, if you're coming from the academic world, what's your specialty? If it's planning, I mean, definitely transportation planning. If you're going in as an entry-level planner for a DOT, for example, that's a great opportunity just to really collaborate with your counterparts and really hone it to really advance TSMO on a programmatic level. So I would say with TSMO, it seems like the sky's the limit, but wherever entry point you have going in, there's going to be opportunities for that connection.
Yeah, I just build on that, Joe. I think there certainly, you know, are positions that are dedicated and maybe entry level positions that are you know, call out ITS and operations specifically. But I think what I've seen over my career too is a lot of it more as being is cross-cutting, right? So, you know, areas where, you know, transportation planning, right? ITS engineering, some of these professions, ITS, TSMO are, you know, expanding into a lot of those areas. So I think, you know, getting into the transportation industry, I think there's a lot of opportunities that are out there for people who are really motivated in TSMO and ITS. You know, folks who can speak the language, who are, you know, interested in those concepts. You know, the work can certainly find you. So, you know, it could be a variety of different things, specific positions that are called out, but I think there's also opportunities once you get in there, right? If there's a love for it and there's opportunities, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of needs, right, from the workforce to actually doing some of this work moving forward. So I do know, you know, there are some association websites that do post job postings that are out there, including things like ITS America and some other associations. I'm not sure if NOCoE does it as well. So there could be some job openings and postings that are located there. And then finally, I would just note that, you know, data management, data analytics is certainly a new and emerging area. So if that's your background, you very much can find a lot of opportunities there. Seen a lot of people who've kind of gotten into this space through doing work in GIS as an example. So just a few thoughts.
And I'll build on what JD said in terms of the data science, data management analytics area, especially with the emergence of connected automated vehicles. That's going to be the data source there is going to just blow up exponentially, just go way up. So it's going to be more data than a lot of agencies can really handle at once, and then they know what to do with. So they're going to need that expertise to really, you know, sift through that data and just develop meaningful measures moving forward.
We had a former boss who said everybody, you know, coming out needs to know how to code. Everybody's going to need to know how to manage data, and I think that's definitely the future where we're going, right? You know, even if you rely on things like AI, machine learning, right, the cybersecurity components, I mean, those are areas that are in great demand, right, and direct correlation with ITS and TSMO.
Awesome. We have one more question, and this is the last question. Are the planning for TSMO introduction concepts and application, putting concepts into action and making the business case for institutional, organizational, and procedural changes for TSMO offered on an ongoing basis or just certain times of the year?
All of the web-based training, and I think that those are all web-based trainings, they're offered all year round. They're available as soon as they're launched, they're available until they are sunset years later. So you could take them at any time, starting now.
Yeah, it's a on-demand, I guess you can call it, training 24/7 availability. And the web conference training, Stacey, I mean, what's the availability for that?
So it's definitely different in terms of the delivery approach for web conference training. Those sessions are hosted. So typically a state DOT would host a session, and then when it is scheduled, that session is kind of posted on our website. And so you'll know if there are sessions in your area, maybe you might be able to get into a session that's close by, but those are hosted. So those aren't kind of on demand. Those are hosted by typically state DOTs.
Yeah, and again, some of our ITS trainings we host in collaboration with ITS America and some of the state chapters. So, like example, our VDEX training, some of our system engineering training. So, yeah, if you're in those areas, if you participate in some of those associations, there's always some great opportunities there for some of those.
All right, so I think that ends our Q&A session. And with that, I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. I also want to thank our panelists. We had a great discussion here today. As I mentioned in the beginning, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on NOCoE's website. I also want to thank the IT TSMO Council for collaborating with NOCoE and delivering us a great webinar today. And on behalf of NOCoE and IT TSMO Council and our presenters, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.